Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning. What it is?
Well, my name's Myogen. I'm giving a Dharma talk today, as you can see. Oh, one thing I want to do though is you never see pictures from this perspective. So everyone say cheese, and everyone in internet land. Okay, wanted to do that. If it's kind of odd, as I search through the website, I find all my pictures there. So that's how they get there too. Sawyer puts them on, I take them. So, I was doing this Dharma talk, I was preparing for this Dharma talk last night, and I'm not comfortable with it, but I'm still giving it because I need to power through, this is something I need to do. This is my learning. And the one thing that got to me last night was, how in the world did I get here? I mean, I'm a Buddhist priest giving a Dharma talk. How? I don't know how this happened. I can't figure out how it happened. I mean, I know what I did to do to get here, but it's just still unreal to me. So the last time we talked, or I talked, if you remember way back a couple months ago, I talked about just this is it. Well, okay, what's this? It's a good question, and it's a question that's been sitting in my mind for a long, long time, especially within my practice. And today we'll be looking at the triple treasure, and more specifically, sangha, as this, and kind of fleshing it out. So a couple of years ago, I had the wonderful distinction of being Doju's Benji. And I think it was like the third time I was a Benji. Sawyer, it's your job now. And for those of you who don't know, a Benji is if you've ever seen a Hosen Shiki or Hosen Shiki, I can't pronounce it. I can't even say my own name right now. The Benji is the one that sits like where I am, facing that way, and they're the youngest monk of the sangha, or the most recent monk. And I had enough of these under my belt that I wanted to give Doju a question to make him think. And the traditional thing, trip him up, right? Ha ha ha, you don't know the Dharma. Not really, but a lot of hubris went into the question. And I would also ask this question to the teachers who were interviewing at Cedar Rapids. Zuika was wanting to retire before she passed away, and there were a couple of people there, and I would ask the same question. And no one gave the answer I wanted to hear. And that tells you it's not real. Is it really a Dharma question, or are you just trying to be smart? And the question was, when setting up the altar, where's the sangha? Very simple question. Because with the altar, we have the Buddha, or in this case, Manjushri. He represents Buddha. We have light, which represents wisdom. And we have incense, which represents Dharma. But you don't have anything, the flowers do not represent sangha. Flowers represent freshness, impermanence. Except for my altars, they're all plastic. And let me repeat the question again. When setting up the altar, where's sangha? And for me, I think the closest answer someone ever gave was, well, I have pictures of my ancestors, and I have pictures of my family up on my altar. And it wasn't exactly right, but it was close. My Buddha altar at home, it is just teeming with death. I have a nice picture of Sugen Roshi, who passed, and Zuiko, who passed, my family, everybody but my brother, who has passed. And I have a nice calendar of Yezi Esmeralda, a wonderful cat, my best friend. She passed. But none of this answered my question of, when setting up the altar, where is sangha? And the thing is, it's a trick question. When you are doing it, that is the answer. It's the sangha that helps you and teaches you to set up the altar. And the sangha is the altar. And there are three aspects to sangha: manifesting, maintaining, and absolute. And the manifesting, there had to be someone to set up the first altars. Maintaining, it's passed down to us to maintain. And we pass it down, and they pass it down. And they're all there at the same time, right? The ancestors who taught us how to set up an altar are there on the altar right now with our future Dharma descendants. And there's the absolute aspect to it. The entire universe is right there, right now. The world of peace and harmony is on that altar. Why? I can't sculpt. Who made the cabinet? Didn't Hoshin make the cabinet?
No, somebody else did. I thought it was him, but no. But somebody did.
Someone made the cabinet, right? I'm not a cabinet maker. My brother is. He would laugh at me if I tried to make a cabinet. Someone sculpted, made the statue. Someone someone planted the flowers. Or the flowers were planted and we just naturally picked them. The universe provided, right? So it's all, the sangha is all there in all three aspects on the altar. And what's even interesting is, as a side note, my robe is the same way. For those of you who don't know, I had to sew my robe I had to sew everything in order to get this done, or to become a monk. How did I get here? I sewed. How did I get here? I stuck myself 50 times with a pin or a needle and screamed and bled and still continued to sew. But it wasn't just me. There are, I forget what it's called, but the little rope that I have to tie my waist, that was a gift from Jisho. She helped me, and one of Toda-san's Deishi, she helped me become who I am with a simple gesture and a simple gift. Other people have sewn stitches on this robe other than me. They've helped me become this. It's not just a single person doing this. We also have, I was using Tomo Katagiri's book on how to sew the robe, which I am sorry to say is unintelligible to me. I mean, highly. I would read it and it was like reading phenomenology or Hegel. Go read Hegel, you'll find out. And so we needed a sewing teacher. So Esho is a sewing teacher here now. And as she was practicing and as she was learning, she was teaching us. And much to my chagrin, Zuiko, when she was helping me out in the first 5 years, was like, I'm trying to teach you this so you can teach others. It's like, that's not going to happen. I can try my best, I can do my best, but I need somebody else. So this robe is not just a robe, this robe is Sangha. And, you know, the other thing to think about too, about the altar, is we maintain it constantly with respect, with care, and with our practice. It's one of the first things that you learn as a Jikido. As you set everything up for the morning and for morning practice, you need to make sure everything is lined up perfectly. You need to make sure that everything is just where it needs to be. You need to know where it needs to be. You need to look. You need to see the clues, like everything's centered on that centered line here. And everything has to be nice. If you see dead flowers, what do? You trim them. You take care of them. Or you try to, a question that I never really thought in my life that as I would get older, a question would be, is this flower alive enough to survive another day? And that happens a lot here. So we're there. Our altar, you know, Sangha is the altar, and we are helping with that all. We are that altar with our practice. And since I've been a Buddhist, I've always heard about Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. But when we say it, it seems like Sangha is just a seamless throwaway. Buddha, you know, there's Buddha, there's Dharma. Yeah, I need to read books, need to worship Buddha. And, oh yeah, there's Sangha. And it's like, oh yeah, then there's Sangha. I totally forgot that was there. And you're doing that in a Zendo. And as I sat more and more, I began to see a depth with Sangha that took it from a one-time question to the Dharma. And, you know, one of my favorite people is Brad Warner. Oh, wait, I need to say this right. One of my favorite people, Dharma teachers, is Brad Warner. I love Brad. He's a wonderful person, a good friend to Zuiko and Hoko, or not Hoko, but Tonin. Not everybody likes him, which is fine. But I always looked at him as a peer. I've met him a couple of times. And one of the interesting things I remember reading in one of his books, he said is, you need to find a teacher. I'm doing this while I'm sitting by myself in Normal, Illinois, no one else. And it's like, oh yeah, I do need to find a teacher. But what he's really telling you is, you need to find a Sangha. Because when you go to a teacher and you learn from them, you're not learning just from the teacher. You're learning from the Sangha. It's the teacher that sets up the Sangha. They organize it. But it's the Sangha there. It may be just the two of you, but you're still a Sangha. And it's not just, the teacher isn't just the Sangha. Person isn't just the Sangha. It's the interaction that they all have. Sorry if that was loud to the people on the internet. Monday, we'll have Ryaku Fusatsu. And we'll be reading from the Koju Kaimon. And it says, next, take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. There are three aspects of the three treasures. These are the absolute three treasures, the manifesting three treasures, the maintaining three treasures. The unsurpassable true awakening is called the Buddha treasure. The reality that is pure and free from defilement is the Dharma treasure. The virtue of peace and harmony is the Sangha treasure. These are the absolute three treasures. The one who was born in this world and realized awakening is called the Buddha treasure. The reality to which the Buddha awakened is the Dharma treasure. Those who learned the Buddha Dharma are the Sangha treasures. These are called the manifesting three treasures. The Buddhas who edify heavenly beings and guide human beings, or who appear in the empty space or in the dusty world, are the Buddha treasure. That's us. The truth that expresses itself in the form of Buddha's teachings stored on the ocean treasury, or in the ocean treasury, and recorded in the scriptures on the Patara leaves, in order to transform and animate inanimate objects, is the Dharma treasure. Those who relieved others of all different kinds of suffering and released them from the burning house of the three worlds are the Sangha treasure. These are the maintaining three treasures. So for Buddha, the absolute is unsurpassable true awakening. Manifesting the one born in this world and realized awakening, Buddha. Maintaining the Buddhas who teach in the dusty world. Dharma, the absolute, is reality free from defilement. Manifesting is the reality Buddha awakened to. And maintaining is Buddha's teachings. And for Sangha, the absolute is peace and harmony. Manifesting those who learn Buddha's Dharma. Maintaining those who relieve others from suffering. As I sat with this, I've been hearing this for years. And I had to ask Hoko for a copy because I could never keep them straight when we're reading them. And funny thing, I was actually here in the upstairs room writing this all out, and I went to go get the document that Hoko had sent me. Oh, I deleted every last email with attachments because I was running out of space. What am I going to do? Like, oh, Hoko has her book in her little somewhere downstairs. I will go find it. Found it. Sangha. Right there. As I sat with this, I began to realize that the three separate things are really one. It goes without saying, you can have Buddhism without, you can't have Buddhism without Buddhas. But you also can't have teachings without the teacher, and you can't have students separate from the teachings. And you have to have the students there to listen to the teachers. And we can do this, for the manifesting and absolute aspects as well. But I mean, if you weren't here, what would I be doing right now? Would I be giving a Dharma talk? Would it be a Dharma talk? Without the Sangha, I wouldn't have my altar. Without the Sangha, I wouldn't have my robe. Without the Sangha, I wouldn't have my practice. I would just have my books and philosophy, which is really horrible. With my Sangha, I also have Buddha and Dharma in the 10-direction world, and all three times. The Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha are ultimately interconnected reality. And so, if Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha are all interconnected reality, where does Sangha end? Does it end in this room? End on the internet? Or does it expand to everybody? Even to those you don't like? There was a time in Bloomington Normal where I ran the Bloomington Normal Zen group. It was a sitting group designed, well, it wasn't designed to do anything but other than to provide Buddhism to people who were curious and, just meditation. And I had come, it was the first time I experienced Zen. And as you can see, I stuck with it. And but I had come from a Tibetan lineage, the Karma Kaigu. I, if you're ever in Dallas, the Karma Kaigu, Karma Thegsum Choling Dallas, Lama Dunjum Dorje. He is the person who gave me not precepts, but refuge. And I was still young. I was in my 40s. Jiminy. I was still young in my practice, and I didn't like to chant. I really didn't. And so when it came time for me to lead, I was co-leading with another gentleman, Richard Chandler. I introduced the group to Tonglen. Tonglen is a type of meditation practice done in Tibetan, and it's kind of the reverse of what we do. But you think about in Tonglen, you think about somebody, and you think of their suffering, and as you meditate, you breathe out a white light, a white cloud, peace, harmony, and loving kindness to them. And then you suck in with your breath all of their black suffering. And you're not really doing this, but you're visualizing it. And one of the things, and so it's pretty simple to do Tonglen with someone you love, a friend you know, someone, or even your dog, you care about. But what happens when you do it with Fox News? I had a very hard time doing that. But you're supposed to be able to do that. The enemy of your enemy, you look at them, look at the enemy that you hold, someone that you hate, that you don't appreciate a lot. I don't like to say hate that much. But someone who, that driver doing 30 miles an hour and you want to do 40, right? Yeah, Bloomington traffic for you if you want to know. How difficult is it to actually focus on someone that you do not appreciate? How can you give them love and kindness? And that's what you're doing. And you're doing this, you're including when you do that on someone that you don't like, you're including the entire universe. And you're getting out of your head, you're getting out of your little grooves of convenience and comfort. And you're focusing on what you have, right? And that's something like sangha. You may not like everybody in the sangha or in a sangha. Someone might rub you the wrong way, but they are your practice. And when you're connecting to them with your practice, you're not connecting just to one sangha. You're connecting to all sanghas. You're keeping everybody in mind, and that includes the people, the bad actors, the people that you didn't appreciate previously. You're keeping them in a different light. Like, when you sweep the Zendo, so I mean, when you're connecting, when you focus on sangha, you're focusing on everybody, and you have everybody in front of you, but then you have the world, you have the universe in which you're focusing on, right? And look what we do when we participate in sangha. We have work. We have work days. We have soji. We have things to do. What are you connecting to when you do those? Are you connecting to the job? Or are you connecting to the sangha? You know, I'm debating about saying something. Yeah, I'll say it. Yeah, recently I've I suffer from depression, and it has recently gotten bad, debilitating. Okay, and it's also spilling out into my work and into my practice. But what I find interesting is the bellwether for me is sangha. It's not whether or not I sit or not. It's like when I sweep the floor, what am I doing? I'm not doing just a job to keep it clean. If I'm in my head, I notice that my broom hits the sides of the stairs more. I make a lot of noise. So for me, the sangha is giving me that bellwether when I connect to it to be quiet and to focus on my practice, not on the crap in my head or really the crap in my body. So I mean, this is strange for me because everyone knows here that when workday comes, I do not show up. But I mean, look at workday. It's not about free labor. It's about practice. And as practice as a sangha, and that means it's your practice with Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. It's not about a social club. You're actively supporting the triple treasure by participating in sangha. It's your practice that you're working with. And like I said last time I was here, it's a two-way street. As you as you practice, the world practices you. And one of the things I've always appreciated about Sangha is that it teaches me, it guides me, and it helps me expand my practice. When I participate in the morning service, I do it wrong. There are things that I miss. No one tells me that I'm doing it wrong, as it is with Sanchin style. But I'll look at the Sangha to see if I've forgotten this or I've forgotten that. Recently in one of the services, one Sawyer, I'm calling you out, Sawyer, led the chant as the Eno. I went, holy crap, he's got it down. What has he been doing? This is pretty good. And for me, that is a thing. For me, that is the Sangha teaching me, oh, I need to step up my game. I need to focus on what I'm doing. I need to practice more with what I want to get it like that guy, right? And it's not a thing of competition. Oh, he's better than me, and I need to show him up by being better than him. No. This is, we need to get the Dharma in a certain way, and he provides an example that gives me room to expand. This is Sangha. This is Sangha teaching us how to teach the Dharma. I have a friend in Bloomington with the Bloomington Normal Zen group, Terry. He's very interested in Soto and very interested in the Dharma. And we would have our get-togethers. We would have Zuiko over, and we would have a party afterwards, or for her, because Zuiko, it was a drive for her to come to Bloomington Normal. And it was a rare opportunity for people in Bloomington Normal to see an actual Zen teacher. We're in the middle of nowhere. Well, we're in the Midwest. Everything's in the middle of nowhere, except Chicago. And one of the things I noticed was Terry would pay attention. And if Zuiko needed something, he had it before she went to go get it. He was paying attention to people and to their needs and was actively trying to figure out the easy way or the best way to get it done. And for me, that was a Dharma lesson. That was I need to pay attention. It's another example of sangha teaching you. And helping you out. You just have to be there to listen. Well, here's a little thing for you future Dharma leaders. You can't wear a robe without a sangha. There's no deep Zen meaning to this at all. It's very simple. The robe is very difficult to put on. Without help, you can't wear it without it falling off. You will see us fidgeting all the time. You'll see us fidgeting all the time, readjusting, straightening, trying to keep it straight while chanting or giving a Dharma talk. Look around the room right now for everybody. My robe looks like it was pulled from the bottom of the laundry hamper. It's all wrinkled. It's all disheveled. It's not the way I wanted it to be. But when you look at other teachers' robes, they look like they've just been pressed with a medium starch, and they're on perfectly nice. For the life of me, I have no idea how they do that. I'm very, 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 very thankful to Hoko for giving her Deishi the leeway of time to learn how to do these things. I mean, the robe is a very, very simple piece of fabric, but it's a very difficult thing to wear, along with everything else that you have to wear. You're not prepared for this. We're not prepared for this. And it's the sangha that gets it done. It's the sangha that helps you as you're learning to put it on. Raksu, fine, no cakewalk, right? Very quick, one lesson, on your head, off, on, done. You're always the first one up in the morning if you just have a Raksu. But if you have a robe, forget it. You have to work to get it together, to get it on, to get it tied, folded, upright. Now I'm being told this has to be right. It's never ending. But it's sangha that helps you. And so for me, when I was thinking about this Dharma talk, I was thinking that sangha is everything. You can't learn without the sangha. You can't make mistakes without the sangha. It shapes us and it forms us. Like, how do you know when you make a mistake? It's the sangha that tells you. And don't forget, we have many different aspects and many different forms of sangha. You think sometimes if you think of the sangha as something separate, if you think of Buddha, the triple treasures, as three separate entities, you're going to naturally think of the sangha as something separate, away from Buddha and Dharma. But it's not. And a mistake, I love mistakes. I so much love mistakes. They're wonderful they're wonderful, the Dharma, because you know where you want to go and you make a mistake. It's like, I'm over here, but I need to be over there. And I just made that mistake. And that's the Dharma telling you right then and there where you need to be, where is now. But your head goes, oh no, I made a mistake. This is horrible. And it takes you even further away from where you need to be. Because fear, regression, regressing back into your childhood days of that one time you made a major mistake and, I don't know, the house burned down or whatnot. And so mistakes are beautiful because at the same time, they show you where you are and then take you as far as you can away from that. And you have to work to get back at them. But the beautiful thing is you wouldn't know them without Sangha. And you think of Sangha as something separate from Buddha and Dharma, but it's not. It's there, present with everything. A lot of people come to Zen Buddhism just by reading a book. That's how I did it. I found this lineage by reading a book, and I became a vast. I think the first time I met Hoko, I said, "Oh, I'm a big fan of your lineage," because I loved opening the hand of thought. But there is a Sangha there that helps put together the book. Toda-san does the work, or does work, but within that aspect, the Sangha helps him do it. Sometimes, like I did a couple of Dharma study with Toda-san. It was just going through a book, rewriting the language. And I think one of the aspects of why I liked his books so much, just not opening a hand of thought, but Genjo Koan, by vow, living by vow, is that there's a Sangha aspect to it that is fleshed out with practice. Without us, it would just be philosophy and hermeneutics. And so that's why I say Sangha is everything. Because it interpenetrates our interpenetration. It works with all of us in what we do. In my day job, and we have different sanghas too. In my day job, I'm a database administrator for the university. I happen to be on call this week. And it just so happens I got paged at 6 a.m. And I'm going, okay, simple thing, hopefully. No, this is one of those, it's been going on for 24 hours. You need to be on this call for the rest of your life. Forget it, forget doing anything, whatnot. Well, my boss already said he would cover me for my Dharma talk, period. That's why my phone is turned off. And I was on the call, and then he paged me. And he's like, I heard you got paged. Yep. And so I was on until like 8:15, but he took over for me. That's Sangha. Well, This is what I was thinking about sangha. This is what I had in place until last week. Last week, Toda-san gave his talk, and where he read from Opening the Hand of Thought. Furthermore, we have to live out yourself. You have to live out yourself as your own responsibility. Ultimately, development and backsliding depend on you. It really is pointless to say you became rotten because of circumstances, or that your education is responsible, or that the blame belongs to somebody else. The fundamental attitude of a practitioner must be to live out one's whole self. Crap. My entire talk is blown away. I'm saying sangha is everything. I'm saying sangha helps you learn. I'm saying sangha interpenetrates. What am I going to talk about now? All right. Yeah, this is what I have written. The talk was completely blown out of water, and the next of kin were notified. But when you really think of Sanshin style and self-reliance, you realize you can lead a horse to water, but it's up to you to drink. The Sangha can help you, guide you, but it's up to you to actually do it. Doju again. Doju came back from seminary and started handing out a whole bunch of corrections in form. You now see me constantly trying to correct my form. Like, just a simple shashu, right? I didn't get it right, and then I'd have the fingers loosely, and then I'm trying to close them up, and I'm trying to get it down just to the right point. And it's not the Sangha doing it, it's me. Because only I can do it. Only I can, if I want to be lax, right? No, it's me. I have to get it right. I have to fidget with my robe. I have to make sure that it's straight, that it's ironed and starched or whatnot, or looks like it's starched. But only I can do it. I may get it right. I may get it wrong. But at the end of the day is tomorrow and another day to mess it all up. If you really can't tell, I love mistakes. So, just this is it. And this is Buddha Dharma Sangha. The 10 direction world in all 3 times. And it's up to us to live there. To call back to one of Hoko's Dharma talks, flowers are life, death. Fake flowers are survival. Go try and smell the flowers. So, finally, I will say, as a side note, this is my second talk. And if you really look at them, both are about identity, about who you are. Thank you very much. I will be happy to answer questions.
You've talked about all the things you've learned from Sangha.
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge you've had from Sangha? I know how long we got, right?
Money.
Want to say some more about that?
I've never really been a person about money. If anybody knows me, or if you do know me, you know that I freely give. Like one of my things that I've always done is, if I'm out with a bunch of monks, I pay for dinner. So don't hit me up for lunch. But as part of sangha, you have to have money to run the place. You have to have money to do all the functioning, and you have to have money in order to survive. And I've never really appreciated the aspect of trying to do that and budget. And I'm thinking this mostly on the aspect of the Lumen Center. I never asked for money. If I took donations, I always gave it back to I would give it to another sangha, and I would always split the bill. But the plus side to that was like, one time we only had 10 cushions. And there was a point in time to where we kept maxing out occupancy. So we needed more cushions, we needed more zafus and zabutons. And so one of the things that I've done, we did sort of like a fund drive within the Sangha members. And they stepped up and they said, yeah, we'd be happy to help. And for me, it wasn't somebody saying, well, this is my cushion that I bought. It was the Sangha saying, this is our cushions. These are our zabutons and zafus in which we're buying and using. And I was even more surprised with people who were doing like-minded things like me and saying, oh, just keep the extra. Give it back in the Sangha. So I always found that to be the most difficult thing. And then I came here, and the most difficult thing, I think, was the board.
Board membership.
I just don't. The board, it seems like to be a legal entity, and I don't understand those and how they work. Not how they work, but I just don't. I don't understand them. I would just rather be left alone to do what we need to do. All right.
So I'll challenge you there and say that's also part of Sangha, then.
Yes, it is. It really is, and it is something. It is something that I will, as a difficulty that I learned. As a difficulty that I've had, it's not something that I poo-poo. It is something that I pay attention to, but right now I'm at that point to where, oh, I can see the board, I can see how they operate and whatnot, but I can't really see myself within a position of a board. But unfortunately, because of the very nature of what I do now, I know I will have to do that. So I'm being, just as I said with Sangha, you have to be receptive to the people. You lead a horse to the water, but you have to drink. So I have to be receptive of what people here are teaching me about the board, so that I can later on do what I need to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's one of the things we struggle with in North America, right? That novices and ordained Sangha don't get a lot of training in how do I work with boards of governance, and yet in this country, many of us are founding our own nonprofits. I've been talking with you about your future, what that means to function within a North American nonprofit world, right? So that intersection of governance and Dharma is a really interesting intersection. I mean, for me as an org development wonk, I think it's really interesting. So I can see why that's a challenge for you. So thank you for that. Let's let other people ask you what they'd like to ask. Other folks?
Sawyer.
Yeah, so you were talking kind of about the boundaries of Sangha and how or if they exist. And so I'm wondering how, like you gave examples of ways that we interact with sangha, on a work day,
Mhm.
sweeping the zendo. Are you doing the work or are you practicing sangha?
Mhm.
But you also gave examples like your supervisor or whoever just stepped in for you and covered time. And so I'm wondering if, like, do you learn differently from these different forms of sangha? This sort of like concentrated form or structured form where everyone kind of knows that there are sangha. We know that we're functioning as a sangha that is studying dharma and practicing. But, for example, the flowers on the altar don't know they're part of the sangha.
Mhm.
Your boss doesn't think of himself as being part. So, do you learn differently from those different sanghas?
What do you mean by learn differently? Do I learn different things, or?
Do you get different insights arise from that? Because, I mean, I guess what I've sort of always had a question about is we can sort of, as a sangha that knows we're practicing dharma, we can kind of be peaceful in a certain way.
Mhm.
It's a little bit easier when everyone knows they're practicing dharma and you make a mistake and everyone is not like upset at you. It's like you're part of the sangha and you're learning dharma. But in the sort of wider arena of our lives, not everyone's on the same page.
Mhm.
So how do you learn? What do you learn from that wider sangha? What do you learn from the?
Patience. I'll give you my favorite example. Driving. I am an aggressive driver, and I was driving down College Hills, and one of the things that I've noticed about my practice is I pay attention to the other drivers. Not that you pay attention, slow down, that's natural, but you're paying attention to other people as other people. Someone pulled out in front of me. They did a right turn on red. Okay, fine and dandy, that's okay. But they did it at a point to where I had to seriously slow down. And I rarely do it, but I had to honk my horn. And then I noticed that person was continually fluffing their hair in the mirror. So they weren't paying attention to the traffic, and it was clear that they were only paying attention to themselves. And so whatever I did, within that context, they taught me to be a little bit more patient about them because there wasn't anything that I could do that could influence that. And there was a lesson to be learned, but they weren't listening, right? Here, we're taught to listen. And here, we're taught to open ourselves up because this is ourself. So within the different context, or within the different sangha of the world of drivers, yeah, I had to be a little more patient. I had to be the one that gives. So I'm still listening. But I'm not reacting. Well, I had to with the horn, but I'm trying not to react even more and going up to them, knocking on the window and stopping and wagging my finger, right? Which I've thought about doing a couple of times, but I won't do it. That's not good. But I mean, one interesting thing is no matter what sangha that you participate in, let's put in work. They're all Buddhas. And they're all practicing Buddhas. Actively, don't know, but they're all Buddhas. And they should all be respected as much. One of the hardest things that I had to deal with is, how do I bring my practice into work? It was, database administration, it's not, I don't know, I don't wish IT upon anybody. Except AI, let it have it. But one of the things I learned was, it took me a long time to learn this, is that now, as a practicing Soto Zen Buddhist priest, or monk, or whatever you want to call me, that dude, that bald dude, I don't do things at work for me. So within my job, I have to learn how to tune the database. I'm not learning that to put something into my resume or Vita. I'm learning that to help my team. The focus isn't on me, the focus is on them. And one of the things that I've learned is if you have a good team that you work with, or good coworkers or friends, they listen too. We have, being on call, which I am now, is very frustrating. And like, I had a coworker who just last week, he hadn't had any sleep for 2 days because of patients at night. So someone stepped up and said, I'll take the on-call from you so you can get some sleep. And Eric picked up my my on-call shift for this morning and for another 45 minutes. So I guess we have to talk fast. And it's been very nice and very wonderful. It used to be that when you took up an on-call shift, you would be like, okay, you'd keep track, you would keep score. Who did this, who did that? I better speak up so I can do this so they won't deny my request to have them cover my on-call shift. That doesn't happen with a good team. We're all doing this. We're all doing the on-call, volunteering for the on-call, doing what we need to do to help other people out so that they can do the best that they can do. And I really, really think part of that is listening. Part of that is being present within the sangha and just listening to what the sangha says and reacting to that with that. And it takes off so much pressure. It really does. It gives you, and hopefully some of that insight will help me with this sangha here. And this sangha will also help me with other things out there. Fidgeting again.
Sorry, question online from Abby.
Yay, Abby.
Hi.
Hi, Abby.
Thank you for your talk. I think you just answered my question,
Okay.
which was just about the question you posed about, are we doing work or soji, or are we working for the sangha?
Mm-hmm.
But I think you just answered that because it really depends on the spirit in which we do soji.
Yeah.
So I think you can skip the rest of my question.
Well, I really, really think a good thing, a good practice is washing the dishes. Very simple, very easy, but what are you doing, right? Are you doing it to just get it done? Clean off the shelves, or don't talk about me about making my house cleaner again. That's just it just needs to be firebombed. But or are you keeping are you keeping your dishes clean or cleaning them so that other people can eat them or not eat the dishes, that gross, but eat from the dishes, right? In my case, I live alone. No one comes to visit, thank God. But I have, it's like I clean the dishes so if I have a guest over, they have something to eat and drink off of. And so, it's that attention, that aspect, and that paying attention as you're doing it. So, thank you. Yes, Owen.
Interesting theme I think I'm noticing you talk about is, you make a mistake and you want to be attentive to the feedback you're getting and the kind of natural consequences of what's going on. You had to take that as like a reason to try to do something differently, right? Mm-hmm. I think trouble I have with that is, perfectionistic enough to notice when things aren't quite right, but also self-protective, persevering, shame evasive enough to maybe minimize, push it to the side, maybe, someone else will take care of it, sometimes it's effect, right? On the flip side, if I am like explicitly given accountability or like called out, usually I do great with that, right? Normally I can really, fix whatever mistake, right? Might take a little bit of practice or whatever, but at least the effort will be there, right? So I'm wondering if you have an idea about, seeing something wrong and like allowing that to unto itself be like a kind of call for accountability or a call for action as opposed to maybe telling a story about it or somehow trying to evade it, right?
The best koan I've ever heard is when do you push a chair in underneath a table?
Well, what do you think?
That will be, the reason why I think it's a really good koan is that because it has you noticing all the chairs. Like I go to a coffee shop and you see all these chairs that are out of alignment. So why are you aligning these chairs or putting them or trying to put them in? As you try to put them in and make them look right, why are you trying to do that? Are you trying to make them perfect? Is there something kind of out of whack with them that you need to do? Or are you trying to make room so people can walk through the aisles or that so someone can sit down at a table regularly or have they enough room to sit down at the table? There's a lot of stuff in there. And that gets you thinking about that because it's not, and what you're thinking about is you're not thinking about the perfection or you're not thinking about the perfection or your ill-retentive compulsiveness. You're thinking about other people and whether or not that fits with other people, right? Or that fits with the environment. There was one time I saw two chairs totally out of alignment. But when I looked at the stand underneath, they're in perfect alignment with the stand, not the table. So they were, they're usually flush. They were not flush, or not, I can't show it on the tape or anything. But I will give you this. If you want to practice with perfection and letting things go, may I suggest that you take on the practice of cheating. I'm dead serious.
I like that one.
No.
I know exactly what you mean. Yes.
It's, you're trying to make it as flat as you can, and the first thing that you have to learn is when to let go. Mm-hmm. After about 30 minutes, you just get tired of it and accept whatever it is.
So for the benefit of those who haven't done that practice I think you're talking about smoothing off the ash in the burners, which needs to be flat but not compressed.
Yep.
So there's real practice to how do you make that flat without pushing the air out and without leaving any kind of Mars on the surface.
And with no lines whatsoever, and it annoys the living, and when you first start doing it, it annoys the living heck out of you when somebody will do like 3 swipes, And it's just like, how in the world did that happen? It's a very good practice. I would strongly suggest it.
Let me think just half a second. I meant a slightly different emphasis. It's not quite the perfectionism I'm worried about per se. It's like noticing I could make more effort, but it's like hard to actually.
Again, it would be perfect for him because you have to learn how to give up. You have to learn how to stop, and you have to learn how to tell yourself this is good enough for government work, right? But this is not government work. Within government work with what I do, there are certain things I go down rabbit holes. A thing will be broken, go to fix it, but then I'll find other things. I've got like 3 things in the back. I've got 3 things in a to-do list right now to research in order to see if what I can do to fix them. They aren't breaking anything. They're just errors. Okay, and for me, it gets to a question of is this ash flat and soft enough for me to let go, or do I need to do some more things in order to get to just where I want it to be? And I just have to let it. And there are times that I just like, okay, it's working. I'm happy, but also at the same time, I'm verifying that I don't have any additional problems. So I'm okay with this, right? But I'm not kidding. I think Qigong is a very good teacher, and you should really look to investigate that.
Okay, so let me tell you how I've done Qigong in the past. So with this particular incense holder right there, you can be kind of clever about it, and you can get like the visible part of the center to be pretty flat just by pushing all the extra incense under the lip.
Yeah.
And that's a metaphor for, I think, a lot of what I end up doing. Right?
Sweeping under the carpet?
Right. Until somebody notices, and then they're like, come on, man, what the hell, right? So I'm trying to think about how to skip that last part and just do it right without the what the hell, right?
Get rid of that person.
Right.
I know a guy.
See you later. Thank you.
I think the honest answer to that is, yeah, I've done that too, and I've done that too many times, and it's just a matter of practice, learning to let go. As an FYI, it's one of the things that I'm learning here. Or there are other aspects. There are other aspects to that I am learning. One of which, as a newly minted, you think that you have power with this, but you don't, right? And one of the things that I'm learning with this is to shut up. You don't need to hear me correct you on certain things. I don't need to be that person. This is just a practice, my practice. And my practice is to help you practice your practice. Any other questions? Recipes? Well, the hot dogs, hot dog soup. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it.